My name's Gordon Yellowman. I'm a member of the Cheyenne and Arapaho Tribes. My name is Hiwiano Yellowhawk. That's my Cheyenne name. It was given to me by my grandfather, Fred Yellowhawk, and his name was Bear's Lariat. And so these names are very prominent. And when we talk about Cheyenne history, we talk about Cheyenne families, we talk about Cheyenne communities. The first thing a Cheyenne elder is going to ask you is, Nivas, Nishkit, Nivas, Gashkunya, Nivas, Nemshim. And so when they tell you that, they ask you that, they're asking you who's your family, where you come from. And when you tell them your name, Hohiwiana, they start making that connection. Oh, you're from Watanga, the Broken Glass Band. You're from Red Moon, the Red Moon Band. So they make that connection with names. And then one of the things that we encounter in history, there's always talk about how we govern ourselves, how we want to rule ourselves as far as communities, land base, areas, and today they're called reservations. But prior to that, when we were encountered by this person that we call Columbus, he was on ships and he came from a different country. And so he was looking to conquer the world, to go out and see the new world. He wanted to find, him and other countries had an agreement to go out and find and conquer new countries, expand our territory. And so Columbus came and he got lost. And when he got lost, he thought he was in the Indies. And so when he saw us as native people on our own lands in the United States, America, he said, those are Indians. And that's how we became known as Indians, because he pointed it out and said, you guys are Indian people. He thought he was in the Indies. He was in the wrong place. And so when he got off his ship, the first thing he stepped into was that salty water. Remember I talked about that salty water come from the ocean. And so when he first stepped on the sands of the beaches of our United States, the first step he took, he thought was I'm putting my mark on this land. This is now my country. And so as he moved into our country, he brought disease. He brought other animals to this country that gave us disease and sickness. And so he conquered this. He wanted to be a conqueror. And so Columbus was, we still have controversies today in how we challenge who discovered who. And when we say discovery, core of discovery, then he encroached on our lands. This was our land to begin with. And so as he came to conquer this, then other things came, other people appeared. And that's what one things that we call the pilgrims. They came from a different country. They brought us disease. But we felt we were humble people. We're still humble people today, that we felt sorry for them. Let's feed them. They look hungry. They look starving. They look like they're about to die. So let's feed them this animal. And that's when they fed them the pumpkin. They gave them vegetables, the pumpkin, and they gave them the turkey. And then they had a feast. And so they ate with us. And then the native people, that they called the Indians. And as we had this feast, then they start to wanting to teach us how to plant things. And we already knew how to plant. And so they were wanting to teach us different methods, and we didn't follow that. But one thing that Columbus said was when he went back, he said, this is my new land. That world over there is ours. So we can go over there now and start building our own cities and villages that's going to take over these Indians. We'll take the land from them. And so those are things we encounter. History is, sometimes it repeats itself. And history is a very powerful tool. Always remember where you came from. Always remember what happened in the past, because you're going to need to know that. And history repeats itself through disease. And so one of the things that we encounter is sickness, disease. They brought us smallpox, chicken pox, measles. And when they did that, it affected our immune system was very healthy, and our immune system couldn't fight that disease, and as a result of that, millions of Indians died suddenly, and so our race started to almost disappear. But it was through our beliefs and our way of life that we were given that kept us strong. And they told us, you're going to survive because you're resilient people. You're empowered by all these animals and plants. They're sacred to you. And so always remember that they're going to take care of you. And you're going to meet these challenges of new people. And these new people, they're going to have white skin. And they told us white is a very powerful color. It's supposed to represent pure for our Cheyenne people. It's a purification color. But when we see the white people, we don't think of that as purification. We think of that as sickness and disease and when I say a color we challenge today, a color that we associate with disease and sickness among our people. And that color is important. And later on down the line, as we were governed by the United States government, they gave us things of color. And the sweet medicine said, stay away from those things they're going to give you because they're associated with that white color. If you do that, you're going to get sick. Disease is going to come from that color. And they said, well, what do you mean? And so guess what we have today that's white? We got salt, sugar, flour, lard. And that today brings us disease, diabetes, sickness. And so that came true. So be very careful with that color white. And he said they're going to conquer your world, but they're going to provide the disease to get you out of the way. It's going to create almost like genocide. And so those are things I think about today that are very important. And so when sweet medicine gave us the right to govern ourselves, he gave us laws. He said, and you must follow these laws. He said the four main things is, and he said, one, you shall respect your people. Two, you shall not steal from your people. And three, you must be honest. And four, you shall not kill another Cheyenne. If you kill another Cheyenne, you will be banished from your people. So those are strict laws that we apply today, traditional laws. And so that's how we govern ourselves through being a tribe, Cheyenne and Arapaho Tribes, but also govern ourselves to have policy, to have laws. And so sweet medicine gave us all of that instruction in the Bear Butte Cave. Noah was Bear Butte in South Dakota, our sacred mountain. He had stayed in that mountain for 4 years, receiving instruction. And in them 4 years, he gave us sacred covenants. Each tribe that was there was 7 tribes, Plains tribes, and they each got a sacred object from that mountain. And so ours was the arrows. And sometimes we tend not to talk about them because of their sacredness. And most of all, Cheyenne women are not supposed to talk about the mahots, the Cheyenne arrows, the sacred covenant. So we're limited on what we can say about those objects. But when they were sitting in that cave, when that spirit told sweet medicine, he said, come in here. And he had all these objects laying around in a circle. And he said, each tribe that comes in, there's 7 you Plains people, I want you to pick an object. And so they said that object going to take care of your people forever. And so as all the tribes came in, and the Cheyennes, they picked the arrows. And the Arapahos, they picked the black pipe. And the Kiowas, they picked the 10 grandmothers. And then the other tribes, the Sioux, they picked that holy white buffalo woman calf pipe. And the other ones, they picked other objects that were there, and it was corn. All of them bypassed that first object that was in by the door. No one chose it. They took all of these objects. He said, take them back to your people. They're going to govern you. They're going to take care of you as a nation, keep you strong. And pretty soon, as they left, he said, before you guys leave with your covenants I'm going to give you, that's going to govern your people, I want to ask you something. He said, why didn't you guys, any of you, pick that object that was there laying there first? I put that object there first. And they all looked at each other and they said, it's just a rock. It's just a round rock. We got no need for that. Don't look good. And he said, that's why we didn't choose it. You, yeah, same thing. And Sweet Medicine told him, if you would have chose that rock, your people would live forever. But you didn't. Now your people will die from sickness, disease. So that rock lives forever, just like the sky. Just like this grass, green, the rivers flow. That's forever, eternity. You would have had eternal life, but you didn't choose it. So go on and take your objects. Those objects will govern your people.